What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Once again, we are back with Apex Online Racing. This is round number 2 for the Bahrain Grand Prix. If you haven't seen the opening race, I recommend you go check that one out. The season got off to a pretty explosive start, so yeah, make sure you don't miss what happened in that one. But here we are for the second race of the season. This one should be a pretty interesting one. There's going to be a lot of overtaking. It's a power track. There's a lot of strategy involved in this race as well, so it should be pretty darn interesting. So getting right into it with the first qualifying session. I don't know why I was insinuating that there was more than one qualifying session, but anyway, this is a pretty unique race in the way that a one-stop is only viable if you qualify on a harder compound of tyre. So heading into this one, everyone who is aiming to win the race is only going to have one run of this on the soft compound tyre. So we have to essentially drive around, just wait until the final 2 or 3 minutes of the session, bolt on the soft compound tyres, and then try and qualify on those tyres. Now, there could be a few people who decide to qualify on the supers and make life difficult for the front runners if they want to, but they will have to do a 2-stop, and it's going to be a lot slower than doing the 1-stop strategy. So for me, my approach heading into this qualifying session was to do a lot of laps, a lot of running on the medium tyres, so that when I switched onto the soft compound tyre, it would feel a lot better to drive at the end of the session. A lot of other people at the moment are qualifying on supers, but they're sandbagging a lot so that they can beat their previous time on the soft compound tyre. There's a lot going on, but anyway, all you really need to know is soft compound tyres at the end, and it's business as usual in the final couple of minutes. But yeah, we're just running around on the mediums at the moment. You can see we're up by 0.8. We do a 27.9, which is actually pretty good. I think pole position will be like a low 26, maybe even high 25 if you're on the super soft tyres. But on the softs, I'd imagine it would be something like anything in the 26s on the softs would be a good time, I'd imagine. So, not too bad to start off with. But now it's the end of the session. It's time to put on the soft compound tyres and see what we can do. We've dropped down to P8. Of course, that is still on the medium tyres, but now we're on the golden tyre, as it will. But going through turns 1 and 2, you can see we're pretty conservative there, actually, into the first sequence of corners. And if anything, I've lost a lot of time. So I don't know what I was playing at. I definitely broke way too early for turn 1. I lost 0.3 in the first sector. And yeah, you can see it's not great. Because now, for the rest of the lap, we have to pretty much dig ourselves out of this hole. And if we are going to improve, it's not going to be much of an improvement, if anything. So I don't know what went wrong. Maybe I was just too acclimatized to the mediums and the softs. I really don't know. This is just a shocking lap. So we're going to have to really dig deep here in this third sector to try and beat it. You can see we've just gone green now in the third sector on tyres that should be 6 or 7 tenths a lap faster than the medium. So, oh, this is really bad. But anyway, we're in P10, P11 now at the moment, as everyone sets their times now at the end of the session when the track is at its fastest through the final corner. We're going to improve by 2 tenths here, maybe 3 tenths. That's a really nice final corner for us to open the DRS up to the line. It is just under 3 tenths of an improvement. It puts us in P9. But as we await to the end of the session, I'm actually just hoping that I get knocked out of the top 10 here, so that I get free choice of tyre for the race. We're currently sitting on the bubble, but as we close out everyone else's laps, I think we get demoted to P11 there. Laggy person moves up to P9, and now we do have the free choice of tyre heading into the race. But I don't know. That was just a shocking lap. Absolutely dreadful. I think I went slower than what I did in practice. So that's pretty... There's no excuses there. That's just disgusting. But anyway, Ryan gets pole position. 126 or high 26, I think it was. So really good lap from him. We were like 1.1 seconds away. So a lot to improve on in the race. We're certainly going to move forward if we have a clean start. We're going to make sure that we do so. Onto the medium tyres. And we're going to finish the race on the faster compound and come back at those guys towards the front of the field. So hopefully it works out. If we keep it clean in the opening 10 laps or so and then start to push as everyone else's tyres go off, we should be able to phase into the Grand Prix quite nicely. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully we can last more than what we did in the last race in Melbourne. I think we lasted about 6 or 7 corners before we got wiped out by DRC Jared and the rest of the pileup that was on the first lap. But here we go. Ready for the start of the Bahrain Grand Prix. 5 red lights and away we go, as you'd expect on the mediums. Not much purchase off the line there, and we're going to drop the P12, but just making sure we get through this first lap cleanly. That's going to be imperative for our race. Brock does stuff going around the outside into turn number 1. He'll have the inside for the next left-hander, and he's actually being pushed off the circuit there, so that's an unfortunate start for him there. It didn't even look like he made contact with anyone. It was just a case of maybe getting too close to Roscoe Arm, I think it was, but for us, we're holding position here in P11, just where we qualified. Roscoe Arm on the super soft tyres, so quite a dramatic step in tyre compounds. That was DLG Gamble having a moment. So too with HO on the left-hand side. He's already out of the Grand Prix, so I'm not too sure what happened to him. He could have got muscled out there, or it could have been a case of getting on that curb, which is a little bit dangerous in that middle sector. Here's a replay of the start from Brock Does Stuff. He's going around the outside. So he made a really good start. He went late under brakes into turn 1, trying to be quite risky. Got caught up on the curb and was pinched a little bit. And then he gets a hit on his screen from Roscoe Arm. So unfortunate start to the Grand Prix for him. Thankfully though, he doesn't have any front wing damage. And this is the POV from us. And you can see, yeah, Roscoe doesn't even touch him on his screen, from our point of view. So looks like lag, possibly desync, is still pretty bad despite another patch coming out, I believe. So yeah, hopefully the online stability can get a little bit better, but at the moment it's still just not quite there. That's us up the inside of Roscoe Arm, who got a really bad exit off that last right-hander, and it's a pretty easy move done there for us. So any moves will get done now. I don't think we'll be, you know, under threat from anyone behind as the race unfolds. I think, you know, as we find more positions, these guys will just get slower and slower as the race goes on, and we'll only get faster and faster. The medium is such a versatile tyre. It can pretty much do laps all day. So we're going to run really long in this race as we go up the inside of another car. That was Laggy Person who left the door pretty wide open there into turn 1, and we took that gap, and we move inside the top 7. So anyone who started on supers now, they'll be coming in around about now, lap 4, 5, 6. Anyone who started on SOS will be coming in around like lap 10, 11, and people on the mediums like me will be coming in from anywhere from like lap 15 or 16. So we'll see how it goes. But here you can just see a running, you know, lap of our pace. Over the last few laps, it was in the high 31s, I think it was. We were trying to keep nice and consistent. Warden is out of the Grand Prix now, so let's have a look at what happened to him. That was possibly a crash involving someone. We'll have to get a replay of that just after we get past Drop Bear here in the slipstream into turn 1. This one is a little bit harder to execute versus Laggy Person, who we pretty much overtook before the braking zone. It's still side by side for the two of us, and we finally get him there. That is us into the top 5 after just 10 laps. So here we go. This is the replay of what happened to Warden. This is Brock Does Stuff. He's in the Toro Rosso going through the middle sector. So Warden looking pretty racy here to try and get past this guy. Does he make a mistake? Does he brake check him? Is there lag? Is there desync? We'll have to wait and find out. So Brock gets caught up on the curb, loses the back end. No, he doesn't even do that. He tucks into the slipstream and completely takes out Warden with lag. Wow. Okay, here's a replay from President Crosby. Brock gets overtaken by Warden. He just tries to tuck into the slipstream, and on Warden's screen, he's been taken out by Brock. At least I think that's what's happened. We'll slow it down here, extra slow. This is exactly what happened in the last race between New Zealand Ryan and Jared, but you didn't quite see it because we didn't have Jared's POV. He doesn't even touch him. He does not even touch Warden on his screen, and yet he goes flying into the barrier. That's just unacceptable. This is the example that I make reference to in the last episode. Even on Jared's screen from last week, he doesn't even touch Ryan, yet he spins him out and causes that massive pile up on the first lap. which ultimately saw my demise in that race. So quite clearly you can see the desync is really bad. It's unacceptable to be racing at this kind of level with an obstacle like that. You can't race wheel to wheel when stuff like that is happening. You think that you're fine to tuck into the slipstream and race someone normally, but no, it's just not possible, and it really needs to be sorted out. It's pretty bad, like as you can see here in you know, private lobbies, but when you go into custom matchmaking or the quick lobbies or whatever it is in the regular online, it's even worse there, and it's unraceable, it's unplayable. I just really hope that it doesn't happen in F1 esports. I know it's a local or LAN connection, but I don't know. I feel like the same kind of principles could be applied. We've seen lag in esports in the past at Abu Dhabi. Let's pray that it doesn't affect those guys, but still, the netcode really needs to be the main focus of Codemasters going forward. Like, the things that they address in the patch are some of the smallest things that I've never even picked up on before, and they still continue to ignore the netcode, which has been bad since day one. It's not getting any better. I really hope they address the main issues on this game, because now Warden is out of the Grand Prix. His race got screwed over by that, and you saw what happened to me last week. This could continue to happen. I don't know if it's happening in other leagues. I'm not really keeping up with those guys, but in ours it seems to be pretty bad, and this is people racing each other in the same country. But anyway, getting back on with our race, we made a pit stop. We took our tyres to lap 16, I think it was, on the mediums. We switched to the soft compound tyres, and now we're chasing down the guys inside the top 5. So right in front of us, we got DRC Jared. In front of him, we've got Fen Greek Master. I believe Master Berserk is holding down P2 at the moment, though he's on a 2-stop. So he started on the super soft tyres, and he still needs to make another stop in this Grand Prix. So that'll move us to effective P5, and New Zealand Ryan is, of course, leading the way by about 5, 6, 7 seconds. Either way, he is in pretty good control of this one, and hopefully I can get back to P2. That's at least the aim with these faster tyres that we've got on now. Across the line for the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 29.1, which is pretty speedy at this point of the day, but I don't really have much fuel to play with. I've been burning fuel maybe a little bit inefficiently. We only have 0.1 of a lap to play with, and there's still like 10 laps to go, so we need to do a bit of fuel saving, especially in the middle sector, to make sure that we can attack on the straights. But here's DRC Jared. You might have noticed while I was having my rant about the netcode and stuff that my DRS got a problem. I can't open the rear flap, so I don't have that to be able to overtake cars, but thankfully DRC Jared lets us go through there. Maybe feeling a little bit bad about what happened last week, and possibly knowing that he's not going to be able to keep me behind. So he decided to let me go there, and we move up to P4. Next up is Fens, but he's a good 2 or 3 seconds up the road here, so we're going to have to push quite hard here for the dying laps to try and catch up to him if we can. Like I said, really low on fuel. ERS deployment is pretty hard to manage in this one. This is Brock having another moment, this time in the middle sector. That's the curb that I think wiped out HO at the start of the race. So that curb is pretty deadly. As soon as you go over the top of it, it really dissettles the car, and it's like a bouncy castle curb, I like to call it. It completely destabilizes the car and throws you in whatever direction it feels like. But anyway, this is a quick little montage of the next few laps. You can see I was running pretty consistent laps around about the 1 minute 30 range. I was slowly, ever so slowly, creeping up to Fens, but his pace in the dying laps was really solid. I was saving a lot of my fuel, a lot of my ERS in the middle sector, where, you know, straight line speed doesn't matter all too much. You can see we're running lean and none for the battery, and on the straights we were running rich and either high or hot lap pretty much everywhere in the third sector, but still it wasn't quite enough. You can see we're running out of laps here. The gap is 1.8 seconds, but he just seems to have us covered off for pace a little bit, so perhaps the tyres phasing out a little bit. Maybe the medium's just getting faster and faster as the race goes on. I know that is the case. That tyre really isn't an issue for those tyres. He just gets faster, or people on the mediums just get faster as the fuel load burns down. But I don't know. I feel like my tyres are still pretty fresh. I'd say it's just Really solid pace here from Fens. I'm trying to keep the pressure on, but we are running out of time. It's the last lap of the Grand Prix now. The gap now you can see is just about under a second. I don't know if my DRS is working yet. In any case, I don't imagine that it's going to affect things here, because even if we do get within a second, there's not much time to do anything about it. So it looks like Fens, excluding any penalties, is going to fall on the podium for this Bahrain Grand Prix. But for us, it's been a pretty good drive. Like I said, we went from 11th. We really mucked it up in qualifying, not qualifying where we should have been, but we got through the traffic really well. Didn't get ourselves involved in any accidents. New Zealand Ryan comes across the line to win the Grand Prix, and with that possibly the championship lead. I'm not too sure. I'll have to bring up the standings on that one. Fens gets P3. For us, it's P4, and a pretty solid comeback drive at the end of the day. So there you go, chaps. That was the race for round 2 of AOR. New Zealand Ryan coming out on top in the end there by just over 6 seconds over Greek Master, who, I've said it a few times, but his form from F1 2017 to 2018 has had a massive upturn, so good to see that he's finally on the pace. Fens rounding out a double Williams podium, and for us there, we just fell short there by 1.3 seconds. In the end there, didn't really do myself too many favours by qualifying where I did, but I think despite the lack of practice, I think the pace was actually pretty good there. So I'll take it. 4th place. We actually finished this race, which is more than what could be said for the last one. So not too bad. DRC Jared P5. Master Berserk, the first of the 2-stoppers. He is really regretting not doing the 2-stop in that Grand Prix. But championship-wise, it's Greek Master who still leads the way. 6 points clear of my teammate New Zealand Ryan. So Ryan will be mega focused to make sure he gets the championship lead in pretty quick time. But for the rest of the field, it's been a pretty inconsistent start to the season. It's either one good result and one DNF, or like 2 kind of not so great results combining to form where you are. For example, Master Berserk there with a 9th and an 8th, he'd be not too happy with how things have turned out so far. But for us, we are P5 despite only doing the 1 race. But you know, I'll take it. I think 3rd place is certainly up for grabs in this championship. Like I said, I might be missing a few races in this one, but hopefully that can be kept to a minimum and that won't affect things all too much. But I think from here, hopefully I can get 3rd, maybe after the next race in China, which is a circuit I feel like I'm a little bit better at it in F1 2018. So hopefully I can gun for the race victory. I'll make sure that I do a little bit more practice for that one than what I did this week. And hopefully we can be a little bit more competitive. But guys, that's been this episode for today. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. See plenty more F1 2018 content. Until the next race, the Chinese Grand Prix. I'll see you next time.